Welcome back to From the Flightline. I'm Joel Gilley. I have a very special guest with me. We're going to go ahead and let you kick things off. Tell us what your name is.
Hi, I'm Staff Sergeant Joshua Jackson from the 4th Security Forces Squadron.
All right, Josh. I'm excited to interview you because I think, we were thinking back, I think you might be the first Security Forces person we've talked to. So we're excited to learn a little bit more about what you do. So tell us, what's a day in the life like for Josh?
The day in life for me specifically, I work in the evaluation section at the Security Forces Squadron. So what I do is I make sure everybody is certified on their jobs, and we have a various amount of jobs that they do.
I'm glad you brought that up, because tell us, I guess we should probably back up and explain what Security Forces is.
Security Forces, it's a lot. You can do a lot in Security Forces. The bare basics is you can either be a law enforcement official, so you can be a cop, or a security guard in a sense. So securing assets, securing personnel, securing people. That's the bare basics, but you can do a whole lot. For example, if you're a tech savvy, you can be in like the squadron's IT department. You can be in the supply section. You can be an investigator. You can be a combat arms instructor, so you teach people firearms and going through the motions of that, get people qualified on the firearms. Yeah. And then you can also do K9. So you can do a whole lot. That's why I love Security Forces, to be honest.
Yeah. We often like to look at, kind of the equivalent on the civilian side. So essentially, you guys are the police force for the base and for all the airmen, right?
Yes, sir.
So
exactly right.
If you ever drive by the base, or if you've been on base before, every checkpoint, every entry is all Security Forces staff, right?
Yes, sir.
Cool.
Security Forces staff. Sometimes we have some commanders that come out, show morale, but other than that, it's all us.
And like you said, there is a ton to do, because if you think about it, it really is amazing to think about all the different parts of the puzzle that come together to make up a base of any kind. We have law enforcement on the civilian side out in the community, in the county. You have everything that we have in the county on base. And so that's, like you said, investigators and K9 and all that stuff. And with that, like you said, comes a lot of training and stuff too. So there's a lot that goes on in Security Forces.
There's a lot of training.
What brought you into Security Forces?
What brought me into Security Forces was I wanted to help people. I really don't know what I wanted to do growing in, but I know I wanted to help people, so I was like, oh, I'll just be a cop. Easy. And then I found out that you can do a whole lot in the Security Forces career field. So, and I feel like I've helped quite a lot of people. So.
Yeah. Absolutely. Don't sell yourself short, man. You have helped a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And so tell us what, we kind of hit on it a little bit, but what are you doing day to day in your job? What's, what are kind of the things that you're doing?
My day-to-day job for currently is the evaluator. Is I just, I evaluate all the personnel for their duty positions and go from that. But a day-to-day on the job for a normal like police officer, cop world, is they are either at the gate scanning IDs, talking with people, getting friendly, improving that community relations. Yeah. And then they could also be on the road, be a patrolman. As a patrolman, they're driving around, make sure everybody's safe, but kind of just getting the presence out there. Yeah. Because unfortunately, nobody likes cops, but we try to help out as many people as we can. So If anybody needs directions, we kind of help them out. We wave to kids. We can get out and play basketball if somebody's at like the basketball court. Yeah. So we do a lot that people just don't see. So.
So you're still selling yourself short. You're like, oh, I just keep up with everybody's stuff. That's a lot. Like, you've got a lot of personnel that you have to keep up with, right?
Yes, we do.
Exactly. See, you got a very important job. Mm-hmm. Is that what you've been doing since you've been in Security Forces, or have you moved around within Security Forces at all?
I've moved around quite a bit. I first started off as a security member. Okay. So I was securing assets, and from that role, in order for me to my goal to join the Air Force was to help people. So I was like, oh, I'll just help the airmen, train them up, stuff like that, and that helped me out. And then from there, I went to the law enforcement side, and then when I got here, I got back to the law enforcement side, and then learned a whole bunch more into that aspect. So
okay, so you've been around a little bit in Security Forces. Now, when you say securing assets, are we talking about the planes and stuff like that? Or
yes.
Okay.
Planes, people, everybody on the installation.
Okay. And so, since you've moved around a little bit in Security Forces, how long have you been in the Air Force?
I've been in the Air Force for 8 years.
8 years. And where all has that taken you so far?
I first went off to, basic and tech school in Lackland Air Force Base. Okay. And then my first duty station was Whiteman Air Force Base, Missouri. Okay. And then about, 2 years ago, I got here to Seymour Johnson. So.
Which one you like better?
Seymour Johnson.
That's the right answer.
Mm.
No, I'm kidding.
It's a little warmer, but it's not bad.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit before we started. You're a mountains guy, so you got mountains, but then you got the coast too, so that's nice.
It is nice.
So,
best of both worlds.
Where all has the Air Force taken you fun so far? I know you said you had a deployment in there, right? So have you been anywhere fun?
I've been to Guam, which is actually really cool.
Okay.
Island, stayed like 80 degrees, 90 degrees the entire time. It was beautiful. So
it's easy, isn't it? It's a tough job, but somebody's got to do it, I guess. Well, that's cool. What are your plans for the future? You looking to stay in for a little while?
I am. I'm staying in at least 20.
Okay.
That was my goal. Like day one in the Air Force, I was like, okay, I'm doing 20 and then see from there. So,
yeah.
Not sure afterwards though, but
I guess at 8
ideas.
now you're pretty invested in it. You got to stay in, right?
I am.
Where are you from originally?
Originally, I always found that to be a tough question because I'm an Air Force brat, so I kind of moved around a lot. But I guess I would claim Illinois because I was there the longest.
Okay.
So,
you know, it's funny because one of my next questions was going to be what brought you to the Air Force, but I guess we know now you're an Air Force brat, so you had to go Air Force, right?
Yep.
So, you know, if you were sitting back and you could talk to somebody who's high school age, doesn't know what they want to do, talk about some of the things that the Air Force has done for you, kind of that Spark Notes version of what the Air Force has meant to you so far.
It's meant to be. To me, I'm all about the legacy. So I love kind of like the community of the Air Force. Everybody helps out each other. When I was deployed, my spouse, the commander called, like she was getting all these help, all these kind of like free stuff and help to get her through it. Because it's a hard time for her and myself, so that was good. And then really you can just do whatever you want in the Air Force. That's what I love. If I didn't want to be a cop, which I love being a cop, I could take that opportunity to retrain and cross-train into something else.
Absolutely.
So really just, you can do whatever you want in the Air Force, which is good.
The other nice thing is, you know, you're planning on staying in the full 20 at least, but with what you're doing, transfers right out into the civilian world too. So you know you're getting that job training and that job experience in the Air Force, but then you can go out and get a job in the community too, right?
Yes.
It's the same kind of stuff that y'all are doing that the sheriff's office would do, right?
Yes. Different jurisdictions, but the same premise. So
yeah, that's awesome. What do you like to do in your spare time?
Ooh, spare time? Right now I'm kind of dabbling in a couple things.
Okay.
I'm dabbling into woodworking.
Really?
I just love I've been making these flags, American flags out of wood, and it's nice.
What kind of wood?
The premium pine at Lowe's right now.
Okay,
so
okay.
Not too advanced with it yet, but it's fun.
But you're like staining it and all that stuff?
Staining in, cutting it, drummeling in the stars, hand. Oh.
How do you do the stripes?
The stripes, so I just do a 1x1 piece of wood, turn it on its side, and then kind of glue them all together.
Okay.
The easy
That's
method,
really cool.
So, but it's turning out nice. And then besides that, I'm getting into backpacking too. 'Cause I love just being outdoors, and I'm like, oh, might as well go for like a week or a couple days.
You can do the Appalachian Trail?
That's when I get out.
Yeah.
So I got to build myself up
That's
for
a
that.
bear.
It is.
We were just talking in the office yesterday, completely random. Did you ever watch Parks and Rec?
Yes. A little
Nick
bit of it.
Offerman,
Mm-hmm.
huge actor, is a woodworker.
Oh, yeah.
Which is really crazy to me. We just learned that yesterday. I was like, man, maybe I need to get into woodworking. Maybe it's therapeutic or something.
He's a man, though, for sure.
Yeah. And so you're out and about in Goldsboro. Favorite restaurant?
Favorite restaurant? Probably La Paz.
Good one.
Their drive-through kind of didn't turn out too well, but
Yeah.
it was good.
It's all right. It's still good food.
Mm-hmm.
Favorite music?
Favorite music? I love alternative.
Okay.
I used to be like huge into Rise Against, but I love any alternative music.
Yeah.
Terrible at naming band names, but
It's all
alternative
right.
music way to go.
Where do you find your alternative music? You got to do like Spotify or something like that?
Spotify is what I use.
There's not a lot of alternative radio stations around.
No.
Yeah.
But it's good.
I do want to, you said you've got a wife?
I do.
Any kids?
No kids.
Okay.
Fur babies, so.
So what kind of fur babies?
I got a wiener dog and 2 cats.
Nice, nice. I do want to talk a little bit, because something you said was really interesting. We hear a lot about deployments and things like that. And you said that deployments are challenging. And I think that that's one thing that, not enough people realize the sacrifice that goes into it. We had a coworker whose husband was Air Force. And, she really struggled with that when he was getting deployed. Talk about how you get through it. I mean, on both sides. You're on the deployed side. But I mean, that's got to be difficult for you too, as well as your people back home, right?
It was pretty difficult. It kind of came through stages too. In the beginning, it was rough, and then it kind of got easier because I got used to it. And then as time got towards the end of it, I was really struggling. But thankfully, there's a lot of technology because I was FaceTiming my wife every day.
Good.
Trying to anyway with the internet connections. So I'm thankful for that.
Think about how good we have it now. Like back in the World War when they just had to write letters, and
letters.
It's a whole different time. But yeah, I mean, I think that people understand that there's the sacrifice to serve in the country, but those deployments, because what's a typical deployment for you guys?
Duty position wise, or like
either? I mean, is it 6 months? You're
6 months for us in the Air Force.
So I mean, that's 6 months. That'd be tough to do, and I think that's important for people to realize, when you see an airman, we always try to say thank you, but just remember that there's a lot more there, that there's a lot of sacrifices that go into serving the country, and we thank you for that service, by the way.
Thank you.
Anything else that we left out you'd like to talk about today?
Not sure a whole lot. If you want to be a security forces member, though, like I highly recommend it. It's such a good opportunity. You can do so much in it. Besides just being the standard cop for security forces. So that's what I recommend.
Absolutely. And ask questions. If you see somebody you guys wear the SF badge on the arm there. So if you see one of them out and you have questions about security forces, ask them. I'm sure they'd be glad to answer any
we're always there to help too.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. So when you see them I seem to always see airmen at Jersey Mike's. So go to Jersey Mike's, and there's probably going to be an airman there.
It's a good one too.
But
that or Bonfire.
And Bonfire, yeah, Bonfire's another popular one. But seriously, if you have any questions about security forces, look it up for yourself. Like I said, a lot of great opportunities in the Air Force for security forces. Like you said, you can do so much just within security forces, but then tons of opportunities once you get out as well. So, anything else, man?
That'll be it.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your service. And we'll see you again next time right here on From the Flightline.